Hey besties, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. I'm V, and I'm so excited to share with you guys my favorite books of this year, of 2023. And even though it's only 3:30, daylight is escaping me, so I'm just gonna go ahead and get right into it. We started off this year strong because the first book I read was a 5-star read, and all of these are gonna be my 5-star reads of the year, by the way. So the first one was Dance of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson. I read this one in one of my vlogs. I don't remember which one, but I was pleasantly surprised by this book. I'm not a huge fantasy lover, especially when books are really political, and this one's also really long, so I was afraid it was gonna put me in a book slump. And while the first 2 pages were slow for me, as soon as the main characters got together, it was amazing from there. So gripping. Basically, it's an enemies to lovers romance fantasy, and this one I think was heavy on the romance, which is why I loved it so much. Kazi, main character, is a skilled thief, and then Jace is a son of the outlaw family who's thrust into power in this book. And it's enemies to lovers, but they're kind of thrust into a mission / journey that they have to complete together. So there's forced proximity. I think at one point they're literally like bound together for a leg of the journey. Oh, it's just so juicy, so good. And I was actually so invested in the political stuff that was happening in this book, which is so rare for me for political fantasies, but I actually cared so much that I went on to read Vow of Thieves, which is another 5-star read for me this year. Like, I just needed more of Kazi and Jay so badly that I picked this up. So I highly recommend this series, you guys. If you love fantasy, aren't normally a fantasy person, like, oh, just this series was so good. So good. This one continues Kazi and Jace's journey, so it kind of blends seamlessly with that book, where you can just, the storyline kind of just flows right into the plot of this book. This one is higher on the politics because, you know, you get all the romance stuff done in that book, but again, I still really loved it because I love the world in this book. Like, I want to reread this already because I just love the world so much. This author's just amazing with the way she crafts characters and gets you to care about every single one of them, and the ending was just chef's kiss. So great. One thing about me is I need a happy ending, a good ending in a book, and this gave that. So highly recommend this series. This is a 5-star series right here. Okay, the next one I lent to my sister, so I don't have a physical copy of it, but it's The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley, and you guys, it was so good. I love a good mystery thriller, and I read The Guest List by Lucy Foley, and I liked it, but I didn't rate it highly because it was a little too dark for me. But I still wanted to read The Paris Apartment because I've heard so many good things about it, and it lived up to the hype. It was so good, so fun. Basically, the main character goes to visit her brother in this Paris apartment, but when she gets there, her brother's missing, and she has no idea where he is, and it's kind of her trying to figure out what happened. And you get POVs from different residents in this same Paris apartment who could all be suspects, so it's like crazy trying to like go through the book and figure out like hints and like who's reliable, who's unreliable, and kind of try to pick out what's happening. But I tried my best to guess it and could not guess the ending, and the delivery, like the ending, was just so satisfying. So I highly recommend reading that one. It was so good. It was so fun being set in Paris, and the whole apartment vibes. So like, they're fancy apartments. The residents are also like, all the POVs are so interesting. So loved that book. 5 stars. I highly recommend that one. My next 5-star read of the year was Grown by Tiffany Jackson. Again, I read this one as an audiobook actually, so I don't own it, but it's about this young girl who's got a great voice and is kind of trying to break into the music industry, but it kind of shows the darker side to the music industry. And I would definitely read the trigger warnings if you want to read this one, but it was beautifully written. It was so gut-wrenching. I cried at multiple parts of this book, but I definitely think it is a must read, and it was my first Tiffany Jackson book, so I really want to read more of them. But yes, I read it because I saw Brittany in Books talk about it. The way she talked about it, I was like, I need to read it. Read it, did not disappoint. Such a good book. Sad, but good. Next 5-star read was Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. This is a Sunshine Times Grump, a little bit of fake dating in there too, and found family. Those are my favorite tropes of this book. But basically, Naomi's a runaway bride and ends up in the town Knockemout, where her twin sister lives. And the town, I'm pretty sure this town is fictional, but it's just such a cute small town vibe. Yeah, small town trope. I forgot about that. Oh, the town has so much character. You fall in love with it. It's so cozy. When you're reading this book, you feel like you're living there. And I love all the characters that we stumble across. The love interest is Knox Morgan. He's Grump. It's a Sunshine Times Grump trope. And when Naomi gets to town, she doesn't find her sister, but she finds the daughter of her sister that she left behind, her niece, and is kind of forced to pick up all the pieces her sister left behind, including raising her niece, while trying to figure out where her sister is at the same time. And Knox and her start off on a bad foot, but he ends up helping her out and blah, blah, blah. I just really loved this. It is long. Wasn't really a fan of how long it was. Like, I felt like it could have been shorter, but it's just so wholesome. It's such a wholesome, happy read, and I love happy books. But it also had a lot of deeper stuff in there, so loved this. Next is a book that I read at the library, so I actually don't own it, but I need to own it because I read it and immediately fell in love with it. But it is Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. You guys, oh, this book is so good. It's told in two perspectives, Chloe's and Red's. And Chloe has a lot of like health problems or physical problems that cause her to stay inside a lot, so she kind of makes a list to help her get a life, and she enlists the help of someone who lives in her building who seems like the perfect person who could help her, and his name is Red. And they're kind of enemies to lovers because they like their interactions are at the start have never been pleasant or whatever, but this kind of list or whatever brings them together, and it's so good. I loved every single bit of it, and I read it so fast. But yeah, I remember writing in my Goodreads review that I wished this book was 1,000 pages long because it was just so good. I loved it so much. You guys, this next book, sorry, I'm doing a silent review. The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. This I randomly picked up because I had Kindle Unlimited. I got like the trial that was like 2 months or 3 months or whatever, and I saw that this was available on Kindle Unlimited, so I started reading it, and then I couldn't put it down. It was so addictive. I am the type of person that likes to be in bed by 10. This was the book that had me up until like 4 o'clock in the morning. It's just so gripping. Like, it's a page turner through and through. Such an easy read to fly through, and the plot twists in this are insane. But basically it's about a housemaid, a struggling housemaid, may I add, who's like desperate for a job. So she takes a job, and it's, let's just say, things happen. But yeah, I devoured this. Literally so good. Highly recommend. And then this started my Frida McFadden binge because I was like, I immediately need more from this author. So I ended up reading The Housemaid's Secret by Frida McFadden, which is the sequel to this. Just as good. Still couldn't guess any of the plot twists. Same thing as this one. Brutally addictive. Could finish it in one sitting. No breaks. Like, seriously that good, you guys. I'm telling you, please read this book if you haven't. Please read these books. They are amazing. Okay, this next 5-star read, I did a whole vlog on it actually, where I read Red, White, and Royal Blue and then watched the movie, but this was such a good book. I loved it so much. It's a fake dating between the son of the President of the United States, Alex, and the Prince of Wales, Prince of somewhere in the UK. Henry, and they have to fake date because they don't like each other much, and then they had this big like thing that happened, and then basically to save the US and British relations, they're forced to fake a friendship. Sorry, so yeah, it's fake friendship, not fake dating. But yeah, I'm guessing you know what happens after that. But oh, this book literally, this was such an interesting read because it deals with a world that we're probably no one watching this, I mean, I don't know who's watching this, but is familiar with, which is like living in the White House and, you know, fake dating a prince. Like, it's just so fun and exciting, and I would read this over and over again. I loved it. Okay, my next 5-star read was also a Kindle book that I read, but it was Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. You guys, I did not know what to expect going into the book. I don't even remember what the plot is really, even after reading it, but I know that it deals with grief and then also found family, like this main character trying to fight to get her reclaim ownership of her daughter, but because of the way some things in her past went down, she's kind of not really allowed to see her daughter, and it's there. And then there's a romance that unfolds amongst that. I'm probably explaining it really badly, but it's so good, so sad. But yeah, everything about it is so well done, like the romance, how realistic everything that it's dealing with is. I don't know, I really enjoyed it, and I read it really fast. Colleen Hoover books kind of fly for me, so definitely recommend that one. And then on to my last 5-star read of the year, Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. I knew this one going into it would probably be a 5-star because I read The Love Hypothesis and I rated it a 5-star. And this one, if you like The Love Hypothesis, this is basically the same thing in a different font. It's still a STEM romance novel where both the main characters are in STEM, and you know how much I loved Adam Carlson. Jack, he's right up there with him, honestly. Is the romance, like Ali Hazelwood, I don't know how she does what she's a wizard. Like, she writes the most perfect romances. Like, the character flaws are so believable, and the way the romance betters the main character and brings out the best in them, like, it was just perfect. I ate this up, loved it. And Ali Hazelwood is my favorite romance author for sure, so highly recommend reading this book. So yeah, out of all the books I read this year in 2023, those are my favorite books, my 5-star reads, and I'm so excited to see what my 5-star reads will be for this year. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below what your favorite book was that you read this year, and thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing if you want to see more videos from me, and don't forget to turn on the post notification bell so you're notified the next time I upload, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!